Long before we had contracts, your word was literally everything. An oath, well, that was meant to be the ultimate seal, the thing that made your speech absolutely trustworthy. But what happens when that very system, the one designed for truth, just starts to crumble? What if the small, everyday words you speak, the casual promises, the simple yes or no, are actually shaping your heart for the coming king? It's a pretty staggering thought, and, Jesus had a startling answer to it. See, in the ancient world, your word was your bond. It was everything. And an oath, swearing by heaven, by the earth, by something you held sacred, that was the ultimate guarantee. It was how you staked your entire honor on a promise. But by the time Jesus showed up, something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. The whole system was broken. Words had become slippery. Promises? Well, they were now negotiable. A tool that was designed for trust had somehow morphed into a weapon of deception. People had invented this really complex system of oaths, swearing by the temple or even just by the gold of the temple. It created all these loopholes, and it allowed them to look truthful on the outside while secretly planning to break their word. So you ended up with these different tiers of honesty. You had your serious, binding oaths that people intended to keep. And then you had these, well, escapable vows. It was a really clever way to lie while keeping up a religious appearance. It was a full-blown crisis of integrity. To put it simply, truth had become a commodity. You could bend it, you could shape it, you could manipulate it to serve your own interests. The very heart of how we communicate, trust, it was just eroding away. And right into this world of complicated dishonesty, Jesus speaks a command that was just stunning. Stunning in its simplicity and in its authority. He cuts right through all the noise and goes straight to the heart of the issue. Just listen to these words. Do not swear an oath at all. Not by heaven, not by earth, not by Jerusalem. He just sweeps the entire complicated system aside. And then he gives the new standard. Simply say yes or no. Your plain word. That should be enough. And this gets to the real principle, right? Jesus isn't just handing out a new rule. He's describing a whole new kind of person, a citizen of God's kingdom, whose heart is so transformed that truthfulness becomes their native language. You don't need all these external props to be believable, when integrity is just flowing from who you are. Now, this is where it gets even bigger. This ancient teaching isn't just, good ethical advice. It has a prophetic edge to it, especially for the times we find ourselves in right now. You see, Scripture tells us again and again that the last days will be an age of profound deception. And we're not just talking about wrong doctrine, but a deep moral erosion, a world where words are detached from reality, where a public show of virtue can hide a private life of compromise. I mean, does any of that sound familiar? In a world that's just flooded with lies, with exaggeration, with spin, the quiet reliability of a person whose yes is always yes becomes an incredibly powerful statement. It's like a quiet announcement that you belong to a different kingdom, one that's built on unshakable truth. And all of this brings us right to the center of everything, because this call to integrity, it isn't some crushing weight we have to carry all by ourselves. It's really an invitation to reflect the character of our King. Jesus is the perfect embodiment of this teaching. He never spoke a false word. He never made a light promise. He is the ultimate yes to all of God's promises. He is truth in the flesh. And here is the absolutely beautiful hope in his command. The one who calls us to be truthful is the exact same one who gives us the power to be truthful. It's not about our own moral strength. It's about being transformed into his likeness. So how does this actually land in our lives today? Well, Jesus' teaching is incredibly practical. He's preparing us for a future world where integrity is the very air we'll breathe. So our words today, they're like practice for that eternity. So the invitation is really simple. First, we just try to align what we say with who we really are on the inside. Second, we practice honesty without all the hype or exaggeration. And with every true word we speak, with every small promise we keep, we are actually forming the character of Christ right inside of us. So let your yes be yes and your no be no. Because in a world of fading truth, your simple, quiet integrity is going to speak volumes. It'll be like a signpost pointing to the coming kingdom of Christ, where everything is whole and transparent and true. I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Do you see truthfulness becoming rarer in our world today? I'd love to hear what you think. And above all, may your words today be a quiet, steady reflection of the coming King.